Am I the a-hole for telling my ex-fiance's best friend that he needs to live with the negative impact it played in my ex-fiance's misery? I, 30 female, am here because the people I'm close to that I would usually go for advice are a little too close to home and biased towards me to give a neutral perspective. I'm going to give some backstory for context first, but if there are more questions, I'll try my best to clear things up. Backstory. I was engaged to my college boyfriend Mike, 30 male, and was really happy. What I wasn't happy about is his friendship with a childhood friend, David, 30 male. The guy was an obnoxious and often rude jerk who likes to play pranks on people. It seems like the more inappropriate or the more people tell him to not prank them, he'll take it as a challenge and either target them more or pretend that he's about to prank them just so he can watch people be anxious over it. I couldn't stand a guy but was willing to tolerate him. And when Mike said that David would be his best man, I was against it. And we got into a fight, but I relented. During the objections part, David spoke up and said that he couldn't let his friend marry a cheater. He even went as far as to hire someone to be my fake affair partner. I ran away in tears as David left. I barricaded myself in the bathroom, bawling my eyes out and refusing to let anyone in. I could hear Mike knocking on the door saying that David confessed to it just a prank and that he knows I wouldn't cheat. But that didn't make me feel better. I heard my sister and best friend Jane, 31 female, calling out to me, so I crawled out and left. I called my parents and grandparents apologizing for the whole scene and told them that the wedding was off and I planned to never speak to him again either. Fast forward a few months later and Jane confessed that before the wedding she had a one-night stand with David, was pregnant and going to keep the baby. She was so remorseful about the situation. And after I had my space, I told her that it would be okay and that I'm still her friend. Jane named me as the godmother of her son, Tommy, 7 male, and he's a little cutie. He calls me Auntie, and Mike, who David named as the godfather, Uncle Mike. I will say becoming a dad made David a better person. Although I'm never going to like him, and I guess Mike never got over me and David feels super guilty and wants us to get back together, but I have refused. When Tommy's birthday was coming up, David tried to use that as an excuse to get me and Mike to talk to each other, but I shut that down. I even opted out last minute with an illness excuse. David then sent me a long text about how disappointing it was for not being able to put my past aside for Tommy's benefit, and I took exception to that. We went back and forth a little, and I told David that Mike had me over her, and that he just needs to live with his role in any negative impact that he cancelled wedding cousin Mike. David claims he's just trying to fix things between us, and that I'm being petty. I thought nothing of it at first, but now I'm starting to wonder, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Commenting again because I truly don't understand how people are thinking she's the a-hole for cutting Mike off. Clearly Mike has been turning a blind eye / enabling his friend's behavior the entire time. She didn't want him as the best man because she feared this exact situation. But Mike said F it and made him best man anyway, putting him in a position in the wedding party to achieve ultimate damage. Her future husband ignored her concerns, thoughts, and feelings, and probably had been doing so whenever she brought up David's behavior and simultaneously enabled David's lunatic-level actions. Why the fresh living hell would Opie want to be married to that? This. Literally this. Also, Mike is still friends with David, so go figure whose side Mike took yet again. Thank you, David, for once again interfering in my relationships. You couldn't let it rest for one day. Instead, had to humiliate me in front of all my friends and family. Mike chooses to laugh with you at my expense and pain. May you learn to shut the heck up in the future. Not stay home. David wants a time machine. Those don't exist, so he's resorting to shifting the blame of this partially onto you by saying you are being petty for not giving this a chance. The fact is, he did what he did. One of the most outrageous, messed up things I have ever read, by the way. Your ex also did what he did, which was 1. Ignored your concerns about David at your wedding and fought with you until you relented, and 2. Refused to hold David accountable for his actions every step of the way. Not only was he invited to the wedding, he was made best man. And clearly your ex did not call him out on his behavior before the wedding at any point either. David acted like an immature, cruel lunatic under the guise of pranking. Although he's apparently improved with fatherhood, he still cannot respect boundaries. And when he doesn't get what he wants, he shifts blame to guilt you into doing what he wants. Not stay home, and frankly, he is the absolute worst. And your ex is an enabling moron for letting it get this far. Of course, you don't want to be married to that. Not stay home. You should have gone to the birthday and yelled, "He is not the father. Jane cheated." See how funny you found it. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend's friend who is staying at our place that she can leave? My girlfriend's best friend is staying with us as she is just visiting from out of town. I know she has always resented me a bit for whatever reason. I honestly don't know why, but I've learned to just stay out of her way. When my girlfriend is around, we will talk, but I don't think we've ever even had a conversation when she isn't around us. She's staying for a week and it's been relatively fine. Literally 0 problems the first day. I like to take showers every night after the day is over, which is where the problem began. Our guest washroom is out of service at the moment. The bathtub works, but it's dusty as heck and no one has touched that thing in who knows how long. So we all have to share the master bed's washroom in the meantime. I was taking a shower, and when I came out, she ran in and accused me of using her loofah because it was wet. I had no words. I didn't even realize it was in there until she made a fuss about it. She smelled the freaking loofah and then smelled my body wash and said it smelled the same. I don't even know what to say besides I didn't use it. She said that even then it weirded her out that I was showering while her loofah was in there. My girlfriend tried mediating, told her to take out the loofah while I shower even. But she told me to use the bath in the broken washroom. And I said no because it's dirty as heck, and I've had to spend at least an hour to get all the grime out of that thing. My girlfriend and her BFF had a talk in a separate room, and when she came back, she just asked me to hold off on showering for a week. LMFAO. Yeah, right. I told her BFF she can leave if I make her feel so uncomfortable. And she did. She left and packed her things. My girlfriend was mad at me. She said that she was our guest. And yes, maybe she was being a bit too much, but it was valid to be uncomfortable about the loofah situation. She tried calling her friend, and she didn't pick up once. What the heck was I supposed to do in that situation? Yeah, maybe I could have cleaned out the bathtub in the guest washroom, but I don't understand why I have to inconvenience myself that much just to make her friend happy. Am I the a-hole? Not stay home. Her friend is insane to literally smell your body and the loofah. WTF? I have no idea how that could make someone uncomfortable. It sounds like she just seriously doesn't like you, unfortunately. She didn't actually smell my body, lol. Just my body wash. She could have stolen some of your body wash and then used the whole loofah thing as a premeditated attempt to get you into the crappy bathroom. And her not answering her BFF makes me suspect this even more. Like she's mad her girlfriend didn't white knight for her. Not stay home? What the hell? Does your girlfriend and her BFF not know that water splashes? And when the shower is on, everything in the shower gets wet. Not showering for a week to appease a guest is a ridiculous suggestion. But I think you should take her up on it anyway and see how she appreciates sleeping next to a person with 7-day-old body odor. Also, the steam from Opie washing himself with his body wash would explain why the loofah smelled similar. Not stay home. The girlfriend's BFF sounds unhinged. Who expects someone not to shower for a week? She's not the queen and it's your home, guest or no guest. Right? Like, seriously, what the heck is wrong with a BFF? You don't just stroll up to your friend's house, be invited in as a guest, then start telling them how to do things or what they can do and when they can do it. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to buy my girlfriend's friend tampons? My girlfriend invited her friends to the house for some girls' time last Sunday. In order not to disturb them, I spent my afternoon outside with the dogs to give the ladies space and privacy. When I texted my girlfriend that I was going home, my girlfriend called me and asked me to buy one of her friend a box of tampons on my way back. I reminded her if her friend needs it, she could give her some of her own tampons as I recall there were plenty in the house. But girlfriend insisted on me buying a brand new box specifically for her friend. I could hear laughter and some chattering in the background and realized that her friends were nearby listening to our conversation and making fun of it. I asked if her friend set her up for this, and she insisted it wasn't, that I could just buy a box of tampon for her friend like I do for her. I heard more chattering and giggling, and felt like a target of some sort of prank, a social experiment, or TikTok. I then stood my ground and said that I am going home. The dogs are hungry, and I won't be buying any tampons on my way back. Things were a little awkward when I reached home. And later, my girlfriend said I embarrassed her in front of her friends, that a decent guy should not be embarrassed by tampons. I told her I wouldn't mind buying for her, but I see no need to play along with her friends to prove that I am a decent guy. Am I the a-hole for my actions? If she actually needed them, you said you'd do it so. Not an a-hole. Pressuring you to waste your time to do so for a friend in a clear social experiment/weird flex is uncomfortable. It sounds childish. The girlfriend also lied about sharing the call with her friends. They're immature and shallow. Jumping on top post. Maybe I'm just tired today and I know I'll fall into the Reddit stereotype, just break up with him/her. But seriously, the immaturity/shallowness is strong on this one. If you already had issues with her filming pranks and posting on TikTok and now doing that with her friends, she's just not ready to be in a relationship. Imagine this girl getting pregnant by accident. Just do yourself a favor and move on. Not a hole. You are under no obligation to make your girlfriend look good to her giggling lemmings. I'm female and deal with it monthly and wouldn't have bought them for her. I also would never ask my husband to buy them for a friend just to prove he would. I'm a husband. I've bought them for my wife's friend because I was in the vicinity of a shop and she needed them, and she and my wife don't use the same ones. I hope he doesn't even know that's why she was asking. But if my wife asked me to pick some up just to prove that I would, I'd do that? Because why would I have a problem with that? Seriously, what's the argument for why it's an unreasonable request to stop by a shop on his way home? Honestly, it may not be the action itself that he has a problem with as he stated. It may just be the fact that the OP's partner was trying to test them for no good reason, other than to save face in front of her friends. I think the ask itself was reasonable until it was made clear that it wasn't for necessity but rather for show. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for itemizing my household bills and demanding my significant other pay his fair share, now that his 3 teenage daughters have moved in? I, 33 female, have been with my boyfriend, 46 male, for almost 3 years. He moved in with me about 6 months after we started dating. Things were going quite well. He does not work as he is a disabled veteran and collects a pension. I work a decently paying job and make about $60,000 more per year than he does. He would give me a few $100s here and there towards food/bills when I would ask, and I paid my mortgage and the rest of the bills. He was paying about $1,200 a month in child support for his 3 girls who lived with their mom, now 15 female, 17 female, and 18 female. I have 2 girls, now 10 female and 13 female, who live with me 60% of the time and live with their dad the rest of the time. About 6 months ago, his girl's mom decided she couldn't take care of them any longer. She had ruined their family home. No running water, septic was destroyed, holes in the floor, 5-gallon buckets used as toilets, etc. It was awful to discover, and at no point when the girls visited did they share this info with me. I don't know how he didn't know what was happening, but he says he didn't. At that time, the courts decided the girls needed to live with their father, who lives with me obviously. I knew this would be a tough transition for all involved, so for the last 6 months I've continued to pay for everything and has given me $500 a month towards their support, food, bills, etc. Their mother has contributed nothing. Upon discovering that I was getting a bit behind with finances, I itemized my spending and determined that my costs have gone up by about $1,700 a month since they came here, just regular bills, which doesn't include Christmas presents, clothes, salon trips, vacations, going out to eat, etc. that I have also paid for. I showed this to my boyfriend and asked that he started paying me an amount closer to the cost of the spending, at least the $1,200 he was paying in child support before they came here. He became very angry, accusing me of being money hungry and insinuating he was taking advantage of me. Then he told me he would give me $750 per month towards bills. I expressed that if he felt he could support 4 people for less than what I was asking him to contribute on his own, then he should do that. He says I should be okay because it's for our family. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of. And what makes this feel worse is that I discovered my boyfriend's ex-wife also was dating a younger person with a good job, and that guy is now suing her for taking advantage of him. It almost hits too close to home. But I do love my boyfriend and his daughters, and I feel like if he should contribute more to the support of his kids when I'm paying the bulk of our expenses. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You are being used. Cut off your financial support of your boyfriend and his kids. Stop buying the groceries, paying their personal expenses, cell phones, car insurance, etc., and don't cover his/their debts. Your boyfriend needs to cover his and his kids' share of expenses for accommodations, utilities, groceries, and other shared household expenses. This means that he should pay at least half of rent/mortgage costs and 2/3 of utilities and groceries. You may need to stop buying their groceries if he won't pay you his share. You need to stop paying anything towards his/their luxuries. Don't pay for their spas, vacations, fast food, transportation, etc. If their parents won't pay, the kids can't have those luxuries. If your boyfriend refuses to contribute, seriously reconsider having him live with you at all. Exactly this. And if I were you, I would start the eviction process. I know that sounds harsh, but you are being financially mistreated, and you need to get your abuser out of your home. Not stay home. Also, I feel like Opie needs to look into legal ways to protect herself. They aren't married, so she should be able to just kick them out. Not stay home. He's completely using you. Start by not paying for all the extras. Clothes, salon trips, vacations, eating out. He can't pay those costs. If he refuses, I'd ask him to move out. Don't let yourself be taken advantage of. You've been generous enough. Honestly, those aren't even included in the figures for the bills. I did those things because these girls needed some positivity, and their mother was gone. But the totality of it is weighing on me heavily after having a conversation with him about money. Not the a-hole for asking him to pay his fair share. You will be an a-hole if you do not prioritize your own finances and needs of your own children. Every dollar he mooches from you is a dollar that isn't making your future and your children's lives more secure. Love isn't enough. I'm very much starting to agree. $1,200 child support was insufficient for the mom, hence the living conditions. How much does it make a month? I'm guessing literally every last dime of his check should go to the household. Don't take down your household to support his. Your kids will be sad and you will too after 10 years. Am I the a-hole for refusing to have anything to do with my ex's son's graduation? This may be a bit long-winded, so I apologize in advance. Back in 2006, I started dating a woman who had a 2-year-old son. While we were together, I formed a special bond with him, and it wasn't long before he started calling me dad. It actually got to the point where I spent more time with him than her. In 2009, we broke up. However, I continued to take her son every second weekend. Even years after the breakup, he still considered me his father. We did the things he enjoyed, played video games, watched movies, went to the park, etc. He always had a blast. Meanwhile, he started forming a bond with his mom's now husband and started calling him dad as well. Needless to say, dad number 2 didn't like the fact that I was dad number 1, so he started saying he didn't want me to take the son anymore. My ex, being the terrible person that she is, decided that instead of just helping us all come to a solution, decided to fill the kid's head with a bunch of lies about me. This was all just before Easter 2017. She told him that I was a deadbeat who owed her thousands of dollars, refused to find a real job, threatened to have dad number 2 deported. He's from the Philippines, and never wanted anything to do with him in the first place. Absolutely none of this is true. Unfortunately, the son believed it, and with that was the last time I ever saw him. At first, we were able to talk on the phone, but as he got older, that started coming to an end as well. Now it's been almost 2 years since we even spoke. We effectively have no contact whatsoever. It was devastating having to deal with all this, but I've accepted it and moved on. Anyways, this afternoon I got a call from my ex. She told me in no uncertain terms that since he's graduating this year, it's my duty to contribute at least $500 to his graduation present and show up at his graduation gathering, if we can have them by then. I told her not a chance in hell. She chose to fill his head with crap, leading him to choose to not want anything to do with me. Suddenly, spending time with him again would just open a whole bunch of emotions that I shouldn't have to deal with. Of course, she went absolutely off on me, calling me every name in the book and saying I ruined his graduation. She basically wanted me to buy him the one thing he wants, a PS5. and that it's no wonder he wants nothing to do with me. I told him to screw off and hung on her. Am I the a-hole for refusing to basically torture myself just to make someone happy? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She only called you because she wanted you to buy her kid an expensive present. Exactly. X is a real piece of work. I hope he could consider writing a letter or a congratulations card to the son offering to take him out to dinner or coffee to say well done and catch up. Not the a-hole. Send him a card to congratulate him with warm wishes for his future. If he wants to reestablish contact, he can. You have zero obligations to give a gift. Not the a-hole. Your ex is way out of line to think she has a claim. And do you think she'd let him know he contributed to the gift? No way. But poor kid deserves the truth and is old enough to hear it. I hope you write a congratulations card/letter to him, explaining what happened. Just the basics from your point of view, not trying to destroy his relationship with his mother, but just explaining that you always have and still do care about him, and you're proud of him for graduating. Figure out a way to get it to him without the adults blocking it. You could enclose a small token gift card or no gift at all. He might choose to renew contact with you, if you can handle that. Not the a-hole for not wanting to contribute cash. But if you two were very close before she poisoned things, reaching out and trying to re-establish a relationship with him independent of his mother would be a nice thing for both of you. I've tried, repeatedly. Who wants none of it? Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for accepting money from my brother even though my parents are against it? My dad runs a small business. He expected my brother to join him in this business. He did, but they had a huge fight over how the business should be run, and he quit. My dad practically exiled him from our family. This happened when I was around 10. We had a huge age gap, but I had fond memories of him before he went to college. I started talking to him again when I was 15. He is nice. Sometimes a bit of a know-it-all, but also very helpful. Last month, my dad revealed that he had invested the money they had set aside for my education. He had invested into his business, and as far as education is concerned, I was on my own as his business was struggling. They had always talked/bragged about wanting to pay for college, and it really shook me. Our household income is too high for me to get any scholarships or aid. I was venting about this to my brother when he offered to pay for some part of my college. I couldn't refuse his offer. My mom has been pressuring me to get a part-time job to pay for college. I don't want to do this as my schedule is packed with school and extracurriculars. My mom criticized me for being lazy yesterday and asked me if I really wanted to go to college. I snapped back that my brother was willing to pay for it. All hell broke loose after that. My dad doesn't want me to accept the money. My mom is talking about how it would hurt dad, how my brother will use it against them and mock them for it. I feel a bit guilty as I know that he will rub this on their face the first chance he gets. But I feel I am being a bit greedy by ignoring how this will hurt them. Not the a-hole. The reason kids from high-income families can't get financial aid is because their parents are supposed to have the resources to pay for it. If your parents aren't willing to do this, and they're also the reason you can't get aid, then they really have no right to complain about how you pay for your education, even if that means accepting gifts that they don't want you to accept because it makes them feel bad. Not the a-hole. Sounds like your dad made a bad investment and left you in quite a pickle. Although, don't just accept the money. Make sure you talk to your brother about the conditions. Are there any caveats to borrowing the money? Are you expected to pay him back? Do you have to pay interest? Is there a certain time frame in which you have to pay him back? Also, make sure that it's clear to your brother that this transaction is between you and him. It has nothing to do with your parents, and to not involve them in any way. I would also recommend looking for a job, at least a part-time or seasonal position to make extra money. Especially since he offered to pay for parts of your expenses, not the whole thing. We'll have to figure out where the rest of the money's coming from. I also have a brother who is a know-it-all, but has a heart of gold. So it's very possible your brother is just trying to be supportive. But considering the family dynamic, be very smart and logical about the whole thing, to make sure it's not too good to be true. Not the a-hole. Get your education and leave. They used your college fund, it won't help you after they lost it. Take your brother's money and thank him for his help. Figure out how to rearrange your schedule so that you can work to get personal income to pay for your necessities, including schooling. In other words, you need to get a job and find a way to get scholarships and aid. Do the research. I was venting about this to my brother when he offered to pay for some part of my college. He's only paying for some part of your college expenses. So figure out how to get the other part through your own efforts. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to have a relationship with my half-sister? I am a 15-year-old girl who has a dad who is a serial cheater. He has had 3 girlfriends, and each girlfriend has 2 children with him. Anyway, my dad slept with various women, even when he was in relationships. And because of that, he has many other children we don't know of. Once I was with my mom at a grocery store when I was 11, and one woman openly stalked us until my mom pushed me aside to speak with her. She was one of my dad's affair partners asking for help, because my dad refused to accept that the child was his. I didn't know about any of this, until recently another woman came to me and told me that I have a half-sibling who is 5. She told me I should have a relationship with her, and that her and I should be friends, so that my dad may notice her as well and accept her. I have a lot of social anxiety, so I don't think I can just start a forced relationship with someone 10 years younger than me. And to be honest, I really don't want to have to help her. So I told her no, and she told me that I was selfish, a snake, and the worst person ever. She told me she was going to send a witch to me, which kinda scared me, not gonna lie, and she started spamming my social media with creepy things. I kinda feel bad because I know she's just a mom looking out for her kid. She just wants the best for her, and it wouldn't hurt to try. But then again, the woman isn't financially hurting. It's more like she wants a father figure for her child and a husband, which I don't blame her for. Not today, Hull. The woman should be talking to your dad about that. You and your mom did nothing and have nothing to do with their kids. Thank you, but my dad goes hard ghosting, and the lady can't even speak to him. Sounds like a her problem. Shouldn't be having kids with a dude she probably barely knew. Also, no adults should be trying to scare 15-year-old. Not today, Hull, plus report this woman to your mom, dad, teacher, police, someone. However many other kids your dad has 0 to do with you. You are not responsible for him spreading himself around. The fact that she would accost a 15-year-old speaks to her having mental problems. Plus, she needs help, but not from you. Thank you. I am still scared, so I don't know whether to bring it up with anyone. Bring it up. She is stalking and threatening you. The more people know about her behavior, the safer you will be. Not today, Hull. If this woman needs to find support, she can do it legally, not through you. You have nothing to do with your father's crap. You have 0 involvement in that, and you should not have a relationship with anyone you don't want to. Yeah, the problem is my country's justice system is quite corrupted, so I can just pay off people to not have involvement. For the next story, am I the a-hole for refusing to give my stepsister free product samples and giving them to charity instead? A little background. My mom and my dad have been divorced since I was a kid, and they're both remarried to people I get along with just fine. My stepfather has an 18 female daughter with his ex-wife who, until last year, lived with her mom in my stepfather's home country. She has been living in our country for university since last September, but in a different city, so we don't see her much either way. We have never had a good relationship, as she has always blamed my mom for breaking up her parents' marriage and has always made it clear she doesn't consider my mom and I family and wants no relationship with us. She's usually cold and distant at best and outright rude at worst. Anyway, she's currently on a little bit of a break, so she came down to visit my stepfather yesterday and invited me to go have dinner with them. Now, I work in media/advertising, and I often get sent product samples. Can't possibly use them all, so I have a couple of charities I give some products to, depending on what they are. Last week, though, I got sent a couple of samples of a product I thought my mom could really use, so when I went to their house last night, I took them with me. The samples were inside what was very obviously a press kit, and my stepsister asked about it. We had never talked about that part of my job, so I told her a little bit about it, and she was fascinated, asking a lot of questions about what I normally got and what I did with it and stuff like that. When I told her that most products I didn't end up using I gave to charity, she went all like, "Oh, Do you think you can run it by me before you do that next time? Maybe I'll want them. Normally, I'd be fine with that. But honestly, it just rubbed me the wrong way. All the time she's known my mom and I, she's been rude to us. But now that I could supply her with free stuff, she's suddenly interested in me? So I told her in simple and polite terms that I wouldn't be doing that. And she started saying that this was why she never wanted a relationship. That we were rude and selfish and that she didn't know why she bothered. She doesn't, but okay. Anyway, the rest of the evening was extremely awkward. And when she left, my mom and my stepfather told me that they thought I should just give her any samples she wants because that could be an excuse for them to see her more often, and maybe even the start of a friendship. I hadn't even questioned my decision, but my stepfather in particular seemed really disappointed. And now I feel bad. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You said it yourself. She wasn't interested in being even slightly cordial until there was free crap in it for her. Real relationships aren't built on giving people stuff, and I doubt that even if you tried their method, she'd be interested in speaking to you unless there's a PR box in it for her at that moment. In fact, I know that would be the case because I was in a similar situation when I was working for a modeling agency and would get PR and samples. Exactly. OP did an amazing job by not letting themselves be steamrolled. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. She only wants you for your products. If she wanted to have a relationship with you, you wouldn't have to bribe her to get it. Not the a-hole. You were polite and firm. Do with your stuff whatever it is you want to do. And thank you so much for thinking of charities. It is amazing what a little nice product that you offer can do to a down-and-out person. Not the a-hole. It's your stuff, you can do whatever you want with it. How can your mom and stepfather think samples are good enough pillars to build a relationship on? Your mom can share her own samples if she wants your stepsister to have some. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for attending my dad's 60th birthday instead of sister-in-law's high school graduation? My dad turns 60 on Sunday, and my sister-in-law also graduates high school on Sunday too. I made plans last Wednesday to go out for dinner with my dad and my siblings this Sunday. My mother-in-law informed dear husband and I this Wednesday of graduation happening this Sunday. I kindly told her that I had plans with my dad, and we can stop by before the ceremony and take pictures with sister-in-law in her cap and gown, etc. That's when my mother-in-law blew up. She started coming at me aggressively and asked the following. Mother-in-law, so dear husband can't come to his sister's graduation? Me, well, he can do whatever he wants, I just won't be able to make it. Mother-in-law, I just feel like a high school graduation is more important than a birthday that can be celebrated literally anytime. Me? Well, he actually turned 60 on Sunday and is golfing Saturday with my brothers. Mother-in-law, you can see him literally anytime. Me? I haven't seen my dad since Christmas, and Sunday is his literal birthday. And then it kept going in circles like that until dear husband finally stepped in and reiterated we see sister-in-law, or neighbors with our in-laws, all the time, and he didn't really care to attend. For context, my dad lives alone and has been feeling lonely and sad lately. I would feel horrible if I missed his birthday. Rescheduling is hard because my brother works nights and has to sleep Sunday until his son's football game at 2, and is meeting us for dinner at 3:30 and going back home, an hour away, before returning to town again for work. Sister-in-law's graduation ceremony is at 2 p.m., an hour from the restaurant. She's also having a graduation party at a later date, which we will attend. I am going to try and see if my siblings can meet before my nephew's football game. But if that all fails, then I choose my dad's birthday. My a-hole. Not the a-hole. Attending your father's milestone birthday dinner, after not seeing him for 5 months, trumps a high school graduation. We never know how long we will have our parents with us, and that's a fact of life. Another fact of life is that high school graduations are boring. I hated my own. I lost my dad at 61, and was thankful that I had a party for him that year, that he said he didn't want, but secretly did, and loved every minute of it, lol. Coming up on 6 years without him, I cherish those pictures and memories. OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Milestone birthday is kind of a big deal. Plus, it's one of your parents, so you don't even need to justify it. You're making an effort to make it work by attending the graduation early. That's considerate and thoughtful. Go to the birthday and enjoy. Don't feel guilty about being there for your dad. Not the a-hole. Your plans were made already. Enjoy dinner with your dad. By the way, high school graduation may have been a thing back when less than half the US had a high school diploma, but now it's not a big deal. Right? I kind of feel like everyone graduates high school and just having a grad party anyways in June, which we will attend anyways. Update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my sister after she didn't show up for my wedding? Original post. So my 29 female sister, 27 female, and I have always been pretty close. Or so I thought. Last year, I got married to the love of my life, and we had a small intimate wedding. My sister was supposed to be my maid of honor, but she never showed up. No call, no text, nothing. I was devastated, but I tried to focus on the day and not let it ruin things. Later, she explained that she had a panic attack and couldn't handle the pressure. I understood and tried to be supportive, but it still hurt that she didn't even try to let me know. Fast forward to now, my sister is pregnant and recently asked me for help, both financially and with planning her baby shower. She's in a tough spot, but I do feel bad for her, but I'm still hurting about the wedding. I told her that I am not in a position to help her right now, and she got really upset, saying that I'm being selfish and holding a grudge. Now, my family's divided. Some say I should let it go and support her, while others think it's fair for me to be upset. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to help her? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I'm sorry, panic attack or not, who doesn't turn up or even let the bride know they're not going to turn up? At a wedding of a sibling. Not a-hole. I wouldn't be helping her with anything. I'd love to help you with your baby, but I don't think I can handle the pressure. I'm sure you understand. Exactly. There's literally no excuse at all for not even sending an apology text message as a bare minimum. OP, not a-hole. Honestly, I would be 100% petty and never help her again, purely because of how she handled it. You've already given her a reason and apologized, which is a lot more than she gave you. You're wholly entitled to being angry. Siblings often forget they need to uphold their end of being there when they need you to be there. And instead of showing contrition, she goes on the attack of accusations. I don't think she's sorry for missing your wedding. I think she was jealous and wanted to ruin your day, so she just didn't show up. I wouldn't give her anything, least of all your time and money. Not the a-hole. She is accusatory when she should be contrite and conciliatory. Speaks very loudly as to her thought process and entitled attitude. Can we get more details on her? Why is it her baby daddy helping more with the cost? In-laws, her parents. Why does it fall to you? On top of that, you're now married. So questions about financial help to other people, such as loans or financial gifts, are now joint decisions for the household, not just one sister to another. If Opie wanted to be extra petty, she could plan a shower and then just not attend. But if you don't have the funds to help someone, they should not throw a fit over it. Sister sounds horribly entitled. Now for the update. Thank you all for your thoughtful advice and support. I'd like to provide a detailed update on the situation and the recent developments. After much reflection, I decided to address the issue directly with my sister. I arranged a meeting with her, aiming to have an honest and open discussion about her absence from my wedding. I felt it was important to articulate how deeply her actions affected me, particularly since she was supposed to be my maid of honor. During our conversation, I started expressing how hurt and disappointed I was by her not showing up and not even attempting to contact me on the day of the wedding. I told her that her absence, especially given her role, was devastating and made a significant impact on my special day. I stressed that her lack of communication made the situation even more painful. My sister's reaction was quite defensive. Instead of acknowledging the hurt she caused, she focused heavily on her panic attack. She claimed that her mental health crisis was so overwhelming that she couldn't manage to reach out, and she expected this to be sufficient justification for her absence. She repeatedly said that I should understand how debilitating her condition was, and suggested that I was being unreasonable for holding on to my feelings. I tried to explain that while I understood she was dealing with a serious issue, the lack of communication and the absence on a major day in my life left me feeling abandoned and unsupported. I emphasized that acknowledging the impact of her actions was crucial for moving forward and rebuilding our relationship. The conversation took a frustrating turn when my sister shifted focus to her current struggles. She is pregnant and dealing with financial difficulties, which she attributes to her baby daddy's lack of involvement. She asked for my help with her baby shower and financial support, framing it as a dire need given her challenging circumstances. It became apparent that she was relying heavily on others to make up for her baby daddy's shortcomings. When I mentioned that I wasn't in a position to help financially or with a baby shower, she became upset and accused me of being unsupportive and selfish. She argued that my refusal to help, given her current situation, was further evidence of me holding a grudge. She suggested that family should come together in times of need, even if past grievances haven't fully been resolved. Throughout the discussion, my sister's approach felt dismissive. She seemed to believe that her current struggles should overshadow the past issues, and that I should put my feelings aside to support her. Her defensiveness and lack of genuine remorse made it difficult to see a path forward, where both of our concerns could be addressed. My parents, who are informed about this situation, have been urging me to be more forgiving and supportive. They believe that family should come together, especially in difficult times. Their perspective has been challenging, as it feels like they're minimizing my own hurt and focusing primarily on my sister's current needs. My husband has been a key source of support. He agrees with my decision to maintain boundaries and not provide support under the current circumstances. He feels that while empathy is important, my sister's failure to take responsibility and her tendency to blame others makes it difficult to justify helping her. In summary, I've decided to stand by my decision not to help with a baby shower or provide financial assistance. My sister's lack of genuine acknowledgement of her past actions and her tendency to deflect blame have solidified my choice. My family remains divided, with some members feeling I should be more supportive and others understanding my need to protect my emotional well-being. Navigating this situation has been emotionally taxing, but I'm focusing on maintaining clear boundaries and ensuring my own needs are met. I hope that over time, my sister may come to understand the impact of her actions and that we might be able to rebuild our relationship. Thank you again for your support and advice. She suggested family should come in time of need. So if that's true, how come that didn't apply to her during your wedding? I have a hard time believing OP's sister would have that stance if the roles were reversed. Glad OP stuck to her guns. I agree. Notice how family always tell the victim to be the bigger person? It's such BS. I love these people who think we need to move past their crappy behavior and just get over it, while never acknowledging that while perhaps unintended, their crappy behavior nonetheless left us with feelings that cannot always just be let go. She didn't even give you the courtesy of a phone call, and now you're just supposed to forgive all? Has she even said the words, "I'm sorry"? The axis forgets what the tree remembers. I'm glad you stuck to your guns, and I'm sorry your sister couldn't just apologize so you could all move forward. My little sister and me were super close, best friends, as kids. I always had her back and would argue with my mother constantly about being a knob to her, even though I was the scapegoat and got it much worse. It was like us against the world. As adults, I paid her rent, bought her food, shopping, and met her after work every day. Even supported their weed habit at times when her and her fellow were struggling as a couple and financially for a long time, at the detriment of my own finances and relationship. I was 100% sure that she would do the same for me. I just never needed her help really, because I had my act together mostly, and I always thought we would be close. Then I got pregnant. I couldn't smoke weed or go out anymore. I needed her probably for the first time in my life. Not majorly, not financially or physically, but just for moral support as I was sick and my mental health was crap. I just wanted my sister to hang out with me. She just couldn't handle being there for me when I wasn't the life and soul of the party anymore. I was shaken up for ages over it. It was like she just changed towards me completely. I don't know if any of this resonated with your situation, but sometimes it's an unfortunate reality that we can do everything for some people and believe those sacrifices are contributing to a strong bond. But only one side is invested in the other person wholly, and not just for the benefits. Your sister sounds like she likes the benefits of your relationship, but can't fathom a situation where your feelings come first, even on your wedding day. I would feel awful enough about not turning up. I can't imagine not even letting you know and apologizing profusely. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister that my kids won't ever be allowed to sleep at her house if she marries her fiancé? My sister, 27 female, met a guy almost 2 months ago on a dating app. Within their first phone conversation, he told her that he served 12 years in jail for a murder that he committed when he was 18 and he's been out of jail for 3 years. Apparently, the story he initially told her is that him and his friends were trying to rob a guy and it went wrong and they ended up unaliving him. She told me and one of her friends immediately after their phone conversation. So we searched his name and found the articles and court documents and were horrified with the actual details of the crime. We told her she should stop talking to him and she agreed. Fast forward a few weeks after that, she tells us that she's still talking to him and they want to get married and are planning their wedding. She said she confronted him about the information we found online pertaining his crime, and he was brutally honest and came clean about everything. He told her it was a mistake he made when he was young and he has since turned to God and lives a completely different life now. She said that their connection is so strong and nobody gets her like he does. And he's been helping her become a more religious person as well. She said that on their second date, he took her to a jewelry store and they are already looking at wedding venues and apartments. I let her know that I didn't think she should talk to him, let alone marry him, and I didn't support her actions. Her friend agreed as well. After I voiced my opinion, I noticed that she stopped telling me anything regarding her relationship. My sister and I are very, very close and tell each other everything. Her and I had a conversation about a week later in which she confronted me about my disapproval and said she doesn't think I'm being a supportive sister. I told her that it all seems so fast and that I don't understand how she even got to the point of marriage so fast with someone she just met. I told her how her decision would affect the dynamic of our relationship and I would be uncomfortable to let my 2 young daughters to go to their house or have any sleepovers considering his violent past. She told me I was judgmental and I should understand that people make mistakes and grow from them. She ended up telling our younger brother that she was really hurt about what I said. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want my kid staying the night with someone she's only known a few months, even if he didn't have a criminal history. Criminal history isn't strong enough. The man is a murderer. Yes, plus he initially lied about the circumstance. Opie can reassure her sister that her love for her is as strong as ever, but that the extreme violence in the soon-to-be brother-in-law's past is a deal-breaker, as far as ever being a trusted caretaker. If the brother-in-law has truly turned to God, he surely understands Opie's position. My thought is that, based on the sister's overwhelming and swift submission to the fiancé, he has thoroughly manipulated her. Opie and the rest of the family might do well to watch for psych personality disorder symptoms in the fiancé. The guy seems like a classic narcissist. Tell her to wait until after their first big argument to move in together just to see how it goes. I was literally coming to say the same thing. Opie, definitely not the a-hole, but I would try to convince her that she needs to see his bad side before she finds herself trapped. Go on a weekend trip that requires using various forms of public transportation. Go to a loud, crazy concert, anything that could trigger anxiety in even the calmest people. See how he handles himself then. Not the a-hole. You are doing what any good parent would do, protecting your kids. Going from meeting to planning a wedding, moving in together, etc. after 2 months is a giant red flag, whether there's a criminal involved or not. And I wouldn't be comfortable leaving my kids in the presence of anyone who makes decisions like that, him or her. Came to say the same. Sounds like he is love-bombing her. Convicted for her aside, sounds weird even saying that. He is definitely telling her everything she wants to hear. And for me anyway, the finding God part of it is even a bigger red flag. My DA told me that's how they know people are really guilty, is when they have the conversion, as if it erases what they did. Last story. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my twin sister after she took out a loan in my name? So here's the situation. My twin sister and I, both female 21, have always been super close. We shared everything growing up. Clothes, friends, secrets. I thought we had a type of bond where we could trust each other completely. But recently, something happened that has completely shaken that trust. A few months ago, I started noticing strange charges in my credit card statements and emails about a loan application that I never filled out. At first, I thought it was a mistake or maybe identity theft. I was really freaked out because I've been trying to build my credit to move out and start my life independently. After digging into it, I discovered that the loan was taken out in my name and the payments hadn't been made in months. I was confused, hurt, and scared. My credit score tanked, and I started receiving calls from debt collectors. It was a nightmare. I confronted my sister about it, and after some back and forth, she admitted that she took out a loan in my name. She said she was in a tough spot financially and didn't think it would be a big deal. She promised she'd pay it back, but she hadn't made any payments yet and didn't seem to have a plan to start. I was devastated. My financial future was on the line, and I felt completely betrayed by the person I trusted most in the world. I tried to stay calm and work it out with her, but she kept brushing it off, saying it wasn't that big of a deal and that I was overreacting. Eventually, I realized that she wasn't taking responsibility for what she did, and I didn't see any other way out. I called the police and reported her for identity theft. She was arrested, and now the whole family's in chaos. My parents are furious with me, saying I should have handled it within the family and not gone to the authorities. My sister isn't speaking to me, and everyone's treating me like the villain. I feel terrible for what happened, but I don't know what else I could have done. My credit is still ruined, and I'm struggling to get my finances back on track. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for calling the police on my twin sister after she took out a loan in my name and refused to pay it back? You try to handle it within the family and she dismissed you. She clearly didn't care about you at all and was only worried about herself. She also committed a crime. She wouldn't be in the situation she is in if she hadn't have done something illegal, and now she's meeting the consequences of her actions. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, and that's exactly what needed to happen. This is her fault, not yours. You are the victim here, and there has to be consequences to her actions. This would have happened again the next time she got in a financial bind if there hadn't been consequences. Maybe she will have learned everything has consequences, good and bad, depending on the choices you make. Yes, she tried to solve it within the family first, but the sister refused to, and this is the only way to fix this. I am dealing with this within my own family right now. There is a member of the family who stole someone else's identity and ran up a bunch of credit cards in their name. The amounts are quite large, and it's an incredibly serious crime. There will be jail time attached. The victim in this feels so guilty because they don't want to send their family member to prison. The family member has given them no choice. Judgments like that remain on your credit, and your credit cannot start to heal until they are gone. The damage remains for 7 years afterwards and will affect everything. From the interest rates you get, to whether or not you can run an apartment or get a car. It shouldn't, but it can also affect your hireability. Employers check it. OP, your twin decided to do life-destroying things to you, and she knows how serious it is. She did it under the belief that because the consequences were so great, you wouldn't inflict them on her. If they want so badly for it to be worked out within the family, then they should all pay her debts off right away to avoid this going any further. Yet somehow I doubt they will do that.